Okay. Well, hey, we have an exciting guest here.
Yes. No.
Man, author,
Hmm.
beautiful book.
Yes, it is.
I mean, it's called Changing Seasons.
Now, you used to
Children's
read
book.
books to your babies when they were babies
Of
at
course I
night.
did.
Yes, yes.
Of course I did. I didn't even still read now. They might think that's
Aw.
crazy, but
That would be sweet.
but yeah.
But how many do you remember had African American lead characters?
not many. You know,
Mhm.
I remember those Dr. Seuss and the Bursting Bears.
Right,
and
right.
It was good stuff too, but I didn't. This is
The Berenstain now, they might have been brothers.
that's the Bursting. Were they brothers?
Yeah, I mean, they might have been.
You know what? They did kind of look like brothers.
And Mrs. Berenstain, she was kind of built like a sister.
She definitely.
I could
was
identify
like a
with her.
sister. Did you know that? That they the Bears brothers.
Mhm. The
Okay,
bear, yeah,
good.
it might be.
That's great.
But it had to be a bear, kind of like our children. Even now, what do they have? The backyardigans, the best they could do.
Yeah.
See, if it wasn't for Fat Albert and the.
Now see, now you're talking.
I mean, I'm just saying.
See, Fat Albert.
But
Yeah,
right. Well, there's a quote. Toni Morrison says, "If there's a book you really want to read,
Mhm.
but it hasn't been written yet, then you must write it." You did that.
I did it. Yeah,
you
I
did
was,
that with Blackball.
Yeah, Blackball.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
And this book.
And so did our guest.
Yeah. We are so happy to have joining us on the program, Montrese.
Montrese.
Hi guys, good morning. Thank you
Morning.
so much for having me.
How you doing?
I'm doing great this morning.
Fantastic.
Oh, yes, you are.
You sure are. And,
We're sitting here holding your book, talking about your book.
Yeah.
And I can read it to my babies now. That's
You
a
sure
good thing.
Yeah, well, the whole process was like having a baby.
Really?
Sure.
Oh yeah, it was.
Tell us about it.
Well, it started about a year ago. I'm at the bookstore looking for some books for my child. It's about 5 years old, and I called my sister who has 4 kids, and I'm like, "What are you guys reading?" Because we're beyond, the board books at this point. And I said, I specifically want to create a diverse library for my child that has the landscape of what our culture looks like. So I'm looking for characters that look like him. And there was a silence. She's like, well, there's not much out there. She couldn't really find anything. I was shocked. I'm thinking, well, maybe she doesn't know. So I went to the bookstore and I asked, and I was referred to Little Bill, but they were out.
I love Little Bill.
I love Little Bill too, but that's all that they could offer me at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, are you kidding? If I didn't have a child, I probably know this, but I thought, no, this isn't the case. So I went to another bookstore, same thing. And I went home and I thought, there has to be more. So I called my sister again and I said, you were right. And she goes, well, why don't you write it? I said, write what? She's like, you write anyway, so why don't you write a children's book? I think we should do this. I think you should do it. And I said, okay, and I hung up. And it just stayed with me. It stayed with me so much. And that quote that you opened up with of Toni Morrison, I was looking for a quote to inspire a friend of mine, and I came across it, and it just stood out to me like, okay, this is what you are, not only are your calling to do, this is your responsibility. This isn't a they problem, this is your problem.
Okay.
So you can either be a part of the solution, or you can just let it ride.
Sure.
And so, talked to my husband, I talked to some other people who had already done the same thing, and got lots of advice, and here we are.
Right, we're changing seasons.
Yeah,
Putting the first words on paper. Now, you said you were shocked that.
I was.
Why do you think you were shocked?
Because
you expected it had been done already?
Oh yeah, at that point it was 2010, so
Seems like
Obama's in office.
Right.
There's a diversity everywhere, but
there should be an
not.
entire section of
Oh my
children,
gosh,
right.
there wasn't even the store I went into, they integrated all the books together. The other store had just a shelf, and I'm thinking, really, a shelf for an entire culture, a shelf? I thought, wow, this can't be. So, it's less than 2%. The literature, the children's literature that's diverse in that way, that features African American culture, is less than 2%.
Now, you say culture to go beyond characters.
Yes.
You want more than just an African American character.
Well, I don't want a character that you just decided to paint different shades of brown. I don't want that. I want the whole emphasis behind what I wanted to do was to show that children are more alike than they were different. But where there are differences, where there were cultural differences, they need to be celebrated, not tolerated. So the book isn't about race. It's about childhood wonderment, but there are different dashes of our culture in every season as she takes you through the things that make her happy while she's trying
Who
to.
are we talking about? She.
I'm sorry, the main character of the book, her name is Tanisha.
Tell us all about
Tanisha, yeah.
And it's the first day of school for her, and her teacher is asking all the students, okay, what's your favorite season and tell me why? So the book takes you through her thoughts as she decides. And as you go through her thoughts, you're able to have a front row seat of a year in her life through every season. And she can't quite decide what's what, but you realize that there are a lot of things that make her happy, and within those things you get a glimpse of what some of the American culture is about.
Sure. It's
But-
very poetic too.
Yeah,
Well,
it
thank
is.
you.
Now
Thank
you
so
have a
much.
son, but that baby girl looks like my daughter, and I just really connected with
She does
the
look like your
story.
daughter.
It
She does.
She has hair like
She
my
does.
baby and skin like
Awesome.
my. I needed this book.
Well, I'm so glad to be able to deliver this book. But you know, you made a very interesting point when I was talking with the illustrator. I wanted to make sure not that you can draw well, because illustrators can draw well. I want to make sure that you can get across the message of the features of African American people. Have you drawn us before? And he had. And what I wanted was for people to look at Tanisha and say, hey, she looks just like my daughter. Or that looks like my niece. Or, oh my God, girl, you should see my cousin. She looks just like Tanisha. I've heard that ever since this book has come out. And to hear you say that just really makes me proud that, okay, we were able to deliver what we were going
Was this
for.
an African American illustrator?
Actually, it was a Russian illustrator. Found him online. He reads English a whole lot better than he speaks it. Oh, that's what he told me. That's not me saying that.
Sure.
We've only communicated online.
Ritwick Das, is that
Ritwick Das.
Okay.
He's awesome. He's very quick. He's very accurate. And when I needed revisions made, they were made on time within usually
There's
up
some
to 24
commentary
hours.
in that you have a Russian illustrator that could capture the African American sentiment in these pictures.
Yes.
He really did.
Now, to say that, first of all, there were limited numbers of books available,
Yes.
and then to find that we couldn't find a way to capture, express, and put in a book, it's pretty powerful that this is where we are today. And another step further is that old adage that if you want to keep something, it's a terrible one, but if you want to keep something from black people, put it in a book, was a saying. And here we are with very few books that could express for us. You mentioned that you wanted something that reflected the landscape. What are your thoughts with the actual landscape of our culture right now for our young men and women, and how it's played out in media, news, and music as it relates to how you'd like that landscape to be shared through books?
I think that the predominant influence of what the industry is like is too dependent on the dollar. I mean, I understand we all have to make a profit, but it doesn't accurately reflect who we are. What's missing is African American characters. The other thing that stands out to me is that our handy-capable babies aren't in there either. Not that you have to make a book about a disease or an impairment, but a really great story that features someone who may have to do things a little bit different. You don't see that very much either. I don't know. It's perplexing to me. It's like the literature that I currently see, everything is very, very tidy, very neat. I wanted my characters to look like everyday people that you could relate to. I wanted them to have some flaws, however slight they were. I didn't want them to be perfect because we're not perfect. You know, so when he sent me back the illustration of the teacher who has a slightly darker upper lip, I just fell out laughing. I thought he so gets what I'm trying to do. That somebody could say, that's my second grade teacher. That looks like Mrs. Johnson. That's what I wanted, and that's exactly what he delivered. So.
Yeah, I'm looking at that now. Great point there. Now you grew up in East St. Louis.
I did.
And you know, are these a lot of images from your childhood? I mean, we see everything from eating pickles with the peppermint in it to catching the lightning bugs to pulling apples off the tree.
That's right, I love
to
that.
even now, I love this. Jade will love this when we get into Thanksgiving season and the meal here.
Yeah.
Can I say what's on the
Oh
menu?
yeah, go ahead.
Where am I at here, Jade? I'm looking for my.
You're close.
I'm close
Keep
to
going.
it. Yeah, I wanted to tell what's on the meal here. Doggone it. Oh man, help me out here. I'm
Sure.
looking. live radio here.
No, you're fine. It's not far from the Christmas thing.
Yeah, it's not far from Christmas. The Christmas season, of course, that's a great time
2
too.
pages after
Yeah,
that.
here's what I want to. Now listen to this. How about this? Most of all, I love Mama's first of the year meal. Here's the menu, Reiko. Black-eyed peas with fatback, collard greens, cornbread, and ham. She cooks it every New Year for luck.
Yeah.
Now that's the kind of menu I like that. See, I
Yeah,
get in
I
trouble.
know you do.
Jade told me not to eat that, cutting back on it. But so is this?
said we
You're
were
reflecting
gonna
back
be
home,
perfect,
East St. Louis. Well, how did we get here?
My grandma would cook that every New Year's Eve. Now, quite honestly, I hated it.
You
I
hate
did
it?
not. I did not like black-eyed peas, but
It's a part of you.
it was a part of growing up. I knew you knew what you were going to eat the next day, whether you liked it or not, because
That's right.
you had real parents back then. And you eat
Come
what
on.
I cook.
Yes.
You're not going to get McDonald's or whatever. So
That's right.
I remembered it. And it was very much a part of what we experienced every time a new year rolled around. And you mentioned the pickles and the peppermint
Yeah,
sticks.
pickles and peppermint.
Please help
Oh,
me with
my
that,
goodness.
yeah. Being
I
from
went
Denver,
to,
I was like, what? My
Washington.
daughter
She
loved
loves
it.
that now.
Well,
today.
at her book signing, she had that in the, I guess, memory bag, gift bag. It was a pickle and a peppermint. And my daughter and son sat in that back seat, and they were going to town. I said, that seems so strange. Pickles
You
and
must be
peppermint.
from Denver. You don't
Yes,
you don't know
I
about
am.
pickles and
I
peppermint?
had never until I saw the book, and I thought, oh, that's cute. But then it was really real.
I'm telling you about those Colorado folks.
Yeah, right.
I tell you about it.
Yeah, we would have
But my
recess
children
together.
loved it, and
See?
they were back there raving about it.
Oh,
And so
goodness.
now I've got to get pickles and peppermint on.
Yeah.
The baby, my 3-year-old, pickles, peppermint.
Did you try it yourself too?
I couldn't bring myself to turn it into it.
Well, anyway, we won't talk about
That's
Jade.
okay.
So let's move on
But
here.
no, please, dear, the pickles and peppermint.
Well, it doesn't look attractive. I'll have to give you that. It looks horrible. But it's an interesting taste. It's the sweet and the sour. And I remember during our lunch recess, there was a store across the street from Washington Elementary, the Flowers Confectionery. And we'd run in there and, how much can I get for this? You know, can I get...
Just lay it all
Yeah,
on
just
the
lay it all on
counter.
the counter. And she was so gracious. She'd count them pennies and nickels and say, yes, you have enough. Or we'd ante up. And I got the peppermint, I got the pickle. And you'd bite off the top and stick it in the middle and let it dissolve a little bit. And you had yourself a peppermint pickle. But we love that. That and pomegranates. I don't know if you all remember
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Messy.
Those. I
Have
eat
red
those.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, fingers, right?
And I see, you know, Tanisha's also kind of getting her hair done and
With the hot
with the hot
curlers.
comb in
Yes.
the kitchen, and the mom's got the hot comb going, and it's on the fire. And is that those memories for you?
Oh,
and
my
not just
goodness.
her. That is, those are our memories.
Yes.
Finally, it exists, and I can't thank you enough for creating that. I feel
Oh.
like this. You said you just couldn't get away with it. Couldn't get away from it. It just wouldn't let you go
It really wouldn't let me
because
go.
we needed you to do this.
You know, me and my son, we would at night, sometimes I would read to him, sometimes he would read to me. But there were nights when I thought, okay, we're going to make a story. And he'd get excited about it. And I'd start once upon a time and he'd fill in the blank. Because I really want to get his
that's
imagination
great.
going.
Oh, yeah.
Not only that, but material for me too. Like, what's in your mind? What are you thinking about? What are 5-year-olds thinking of? So it
What's
was,
the next project?
Yeah.
the next project is about a little boy.
Hey.
How he learns not to give up, and
Right.
it's about redemption and about forgiveness,
Yeah.
and how your inspiration can come from some surprising sources.
that?
Now that sounds heavy, but it's really on 5 or 6-year-old level.
Why, that's our.
Beautiful.
Well, Montrese, thank you so much. The
Keep
book is called
writing.
Changing Seasons, and where can someone pick the book up at? Where can they get it?
Barnes and Noble. Go
Okay.
in Barnes and Noble and ask for it. Or you can go to my website. It's Montrese, MON like Nancy, T like Tom, RICE.com.
3 times.
Montrese.
Montrese.
So that means you have to do 3 right out the gate, honey. 3 books for us.
Okay.
So
Coming
we've got
right
a
up.
link connected at kmjm.com. A cute picture of Montrese holding the book with me hanging on her shoulder.
Oh, man.
I remember that.
I couldn't help it. I had to get in. And very special thanks to Yolanda Rogers Garvin, who brought this all to us and is just doing wonderful things here in the community. Please
Yes,
don't
she
forget
is.
to check out her podcast as well, which is also available at kmjm.com. It's called Snapshots of Hope. Just go to the music tab and you'll see Sunday Morning Live podcasts, and you can get that as well as the podcast of this show right there at your domain.